Hey Facebook fans, this is Craig Byers with Pivot Real Estate. I am standing in the Cedar Rapids RAYGUN store with Mike Draper, who is the owner of RAYGUN. Mike, why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Mike Draper. I am the owner of RAYGUN, which has been called the greatest store in the universe by RAYGUN.
It is the greatest store in the universe.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you taking the time to sit and talk, or stand here in your store and talk with us today. So let's just kind of get right into the interview. I want you to tell the world, and it is the world because we have millions of Facebook followers, I want you to tell the world how you kind of got started with RAYGUN and the idea that you had and the epiphany moment that you said, I'm going to sell t-shirts.
Yeah. The moment where I was like, t-shirts are the key to my life obviously came later. I don't think a lot of kids dream of selling t-shirts when they're small. I had grown up outside Des Moines in a town called Van Meter. I went to the University of Pennsylvania to study history. And so when I was leaving for Penn, I don't think my parents thought one day he's going to be back in Des Moines screen printing in a small shop. But my senior year at Penn, I got rejected for a master's fellowship, which kind of freed up the next 5-ish decades of my life. And a friend of mine in my fraternity said, well, why don't we start selling t-shirts on campus? We sold one shirt that said not Penn State. Just stood on the middle of campus, sold them to people walking by, and bizarrely enough, I enjoyed doing that. So I decided after I graduated, I was going to sell t-shirts just on the street. So I traveled around out east for 6 months selling t-shirts before I moved back to Iowa. Moved back into my parents' house.
So
started screen printing.
The t-shirts that you were selling out east, were they, you actually had the not Penn State, which was funny, but what other ideas did you have for t-shirts out there?
It was mostly kind of college humor. We did Jon Stewart for president. This is back in 2004, so it was before the Bush-Kerry election. So this is simpler times.
Yes.
And so it was mostly about college campuses that I would set up and sell shirts for. And then I was in New York one day and I had lunch with a friend of mine from Des Moines. And I said, well, I'm thinking about starting a store. Maybe I should screen print the shirts myself. And she goes, oh, you know what you should do? You should move back to Des Moines and put a store on Des Moines' east side. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, they're kind of redeveloping it. It's supposed to be a cool neighborhood. And it was you get advice at the right place at the right time. Because I'm like, yeah, I am going to go do exactly that. And so moved back home and with my parents, learned how to screen print from a buddy of mine from high school. And then I opened the store in 2005. And it was just me in a tiny store for the first 2 years. So this bottom floor space is twice as big as the original store. So so if you shopped at RAYGUN in those first 2 years, I sold you your shirt, I printed your shirt, I unclogged the toilet after you left, you know who you are. It was, it's kind of your basic entrepreneurial
question. Why Cedar Rapids? Just because, hey, we did Des Moines and Cedar Rapids is on the other side of the state. That just makes sense, Yeah,
it really is as simple as, well, here we are in Des Moines. What's near Des Moines? And stuff at the top of the list is obviously cities still in Iowa, so Cedar Rapids is at the top of the list. But we also have a store in Kansas City, and we're looking at Omaha. Possibly Waterloo, Cedar Falls, possibly Dubuque. You do kind of get into the how big does a city need to be, how small does it need to be, which sometimes you can only really answer by trial and error, annoyingly enough.
How important is it, with the East Village, you kind of were the catalyst, RAYGUN, first retail store there, catalyst of really growing what East Village is today. Same here with Nubo. You were kind of the first retailer here, catalyst of helping Nubo grow. I don't know if it's the same in Kansas City, or how important is it that you find these, I'll call maybe more independent, millennial-driven neighborhoods for your business model?
Yeah, I think we always kind of look for just a neighborhood that already has some good energy. So in here, by the time we opened, CSPS was here, Bohemia, obviously the Cherry Building, Nubo City Market. And so they kind of did some of the earliest heavy lifting, and then we kind of look at our role as coming in to help continue that momentum. And that worked in Des Moines East Village, and also where we are in Kansas City in the Crossroads neighborhood. We were the largest retailer when we opened up there. So I think you kind of look at the neighborhoods and say, like what can we add to this neighborhood or to this like city in general, not just, well, what can the city give to us? And so our perfect location is a neighborhood that has like a great energy that people want to be in, and something that we could actually help add on to, not just like take away from. And so for us, having watched the East Village grow, when we first looked at this site, I mean, a lot of people would say, oh, there's not a lot around it, but we saw just like, oh my God, in 3 years, this thing will be 3 times as big as it is now. So it's kind of helped watching the process in Des Moines, because you know what this neighborhood will look like, 1 to 2 years out. And it'll be, yeah, it just gets like better every month, every year.
Okay. So you guys just finished up an expansion here in this building. I think you're at maybe like 7,000 square feet now. So you're selling, obviously you've grown from just t-shirts to a lot of different things, furniture, clothing, I see water bottles and pencils and everything, and socks that you're here in this store. What are your plans for the expansion?
Well, the expansion will be the first like full-sized furniture that we sell. So this store will actually have more like retail square footage than our Des Moines store, which is a bigger space but has like all the printing. And so we'll be able to finally get into like chairs, stools, dining room tables. So like we make stuff like this now. So this is like a simple like welded table.
State of outline.
Thank you, CNC router. And so the bigger furniture will be like similar concept of like welding, cutting, staining, all that stuff locally. But obviously like a dining room table it's hard to like just lift up and turn around, so you need a little more space for that.
Okay.
So we'll hopefully be able to expand on what we've kind of already done in like that department.
Okay, nice.